Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? Tony
Your
Dunn.
mic is muted. Your mic is muted.
No, it's not muted.
Oh, okay. It's a different setup.
That's just different setup. Hold on. All right, let's do this. What's up, Panther fans? You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I'm hanging out with some B-list celebrities right here. Number one, B-list. He's actually A-lister in my book. A-lister in my book. I'm the B-list. Cody Lashney.
Yo.
People dapping you up all week.
Dude,
all week.
Dude,
Look at the man in the hat.
It makes my heart smile to see all the people coming up, showing C3 some love, man. We do it for y'all. Y'all make this more fun than you could ever know. So happy to be here, man. We've had a great week. I'm ready to talk some Panther football, Tony Dunn.
All right. Again, we're here live at Resident Culture, South End, Charlotte. Hung out today, back together Saturday. Thank you, Panther Gal, for look at this $20 C3 bomb.
Yeah,
it's a C3 bomb. C3 bomb. All right, so guys, look, we're at Resident Culture. If you're around, come hang out with us. We've got people here. It's been great. We've been meeting up with friends and family. One of the things I put together today is Back Together Saturday, right? Is the title of it.
Yes.
But what's back together are these homeboys right here.
Crew.
And rest in peace, Joe Riolano, because I think about my brothers when we come down to that. Really important to me, right? We got Panther Padawan out here, and he said this. He said, look, I love the family vibe that you have, and we've had a great time. So today we went to practice. It's our third day. It's my last day. CK is going to hold down the fort for us. We'd love to hang out with you and meet you. And look, Resident Culture, great food, cool, great beer. It's been a good time. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Today, we looked at, we saw practice. They had pads on, I think. They were mini pads.
But they were in shells.
They were like, is that what it's called?
Yeah,
a shell?
I think they were just in shells. They weren't like full padded practice. But yeah, I mean, there were some takeaways that I think that we could glean from the first couple of days of training.
All right. What did you think about the turnout? Was there more turnout for this practice or for this event?
Yeah. So shout out to Deez in the chat. Me and Deez were talking about this during the event. I feel like it was a good turnout.
You think so?
I mean, yeah. I mean, especially Wofford College Stadium is so much smaller, right? But
right. It's because it's so big. It kind of, right. That's a good point.
I felt like there was a good turnout. I felt like there was a good amount of fans. I felt like they were loud. I felt like they were, interacting with things. I felt like it was a good turnout, man. It just gives me hope that if we ever get to a winning season, man, that stadium is going to be incredible. It really is. I believe it in my freaking heart, dude.
All right. Shout out to Muscles Marinara in Spartanburg.
Paisan.
Yeah, my Paisan. Look, he said he's got it playing at the shop.
Yes,
if you're in
sir.
Spartanburg, you better go to Monster Sub. How about this? We've got a New Jersey person here in the house. There is a New Jersey deli in the middle of Spartanburg, South Carolina. It doesn't even make sense.
Yes,
it's an authentic one. It's like they got the hot Italian peppers with the stuffed mozzarella or whatever it is. It's like
Philly cheesesteak, everything. Man.
It is like, why is this in Spartanburg, South Carolina? And if he wouldn't allowed us to do a podcast there last year, I would have believed he was in witness protection.
Yes. And by the way, to Josh in the chat, this place is dope, man. Y'all check out Resident Culture. They have great food. They have great beer, man. It's a great vibe. They show all the UFC fights here. Dude, this place is dope. It's a great venue.
All right. So the turnout today, well, it wasn't as big as in some ways you would think. Misleading because of how big the stadium is, right? So there could have been 30,000 people there. I went to a concert this past week with CK, and there was
your favorite band ever.
Oh, Let's
love
not.
them.
Let's
It's the
not.
best band.
He couldn't. Honestly, he was standing up. He actually got a lighter out. He
Dude, he took his
No.
shirt off. He was spinning it around.
He kissed
dude.
like 4 guys.
Dude,
No.
dude, Scott-
First of all, thank
Scott
you,
Stapp is
CK,
his
for the
idol.
free ticket. Thank you for the free ticket. My best friend, I was texting we went and saw Creed.
One of
Now-
the best bands ever, dude. I
No.
hear nothing else.
All the songs sound the exact same.
You sound so
Every
depressed when
song-
you just said Creed, though. By the way,
Every
We're
song
on
sounds the
wide
exact
over.
same. I text my bus bud growing up.
We'll get hit.
They're all the same, dude. They could just do one song for 4 hours and it would have been the same concert.
Dude, shout out Creed. man.
My
That's what I'm
best
saying.
buddy, I was texting him. He said, "Creed is the gateway drug for Christians to try heavy metal." So, all right. So today, but it looked so packed. It was like, but
yeah.
I think they said there was 20,000 people there, and it felt like there was 70,000.
Yeah, but it was
So there
good.
could have been 30,000 or there was not 30,000 people there today.
No, not at all.
There was like maybe 5,000.
I mean,
But the how big the stadium is makes it. That's my point.
They're
is I
spread
thought
out,
there
yeah.
was so many people at this concert, so many Christians dipping their toe in the heavy fake, not heavy metal, by the way. But
alternative rock, Tony. Come on, dude.
but to
All
be
right.
fair, there's also with that stadium, there was a lot. You got to
look
keep
at my
in
mom
mind,
lecturing me, saying, "Be grateful for the ticket."
There's
I
There's
was.
a-
I had a great time. I've been hanging out with my boys all week.
at the stadium, there was a lot more density at certain specific areas. Like you had a lot more densely packed fans, and
Yeah.
obviously down towards the bottom of the stadium, you had a lot more density in the 50-yard line to area over there. So I think and on the offensive side of the field, which most people were sitting, if you saw, there was actually a pretty big disparity between people on the defensive side.
Those
and the
poor
offensive
people
side.
on the other
Yeah.
side of the field having to watch the kicker for 45
yeah, for
minutes.
like half of the show.
Good
They
God.
didn't really get much.
Yeah. All right. So Dave Canales, to me, we'll start with this. Is like last night we made a list. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up, of list of things to look for today.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys get the feeling of this? Is you get there, you're in person, you see everything, but I see nothing. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're not focusing on, we're talking, we're meeting people,
Yeah.
we're having fun, the environment, you're like, oh, I gotta go get a water for somebody
It's
or
hard to
something.
always pay attention to everything. that's
Yeah,
happening.
and so you're overwhelmed. It's like hard to see the trees from the forest in a
Yeah.
sense. So like you really have to zone in on specifics. So we made some notes last night on some things to look forward to. And one we said this is, oh no, these are my notes from today. Hold on, I got it. Let me find it. Oh God, look at this.
So
All right, so linebackers, leadership, tight end group, receivers, and lead. So let's talk about leadership. And what and to me, I just want to step out and say this is Dave Canales comes out and addresses the fans or the stadium, whatever, right? And he says he gives a list of things to watch for, which I thought was really neat, right?
Yeah.
He said, like, you should watch for this, and this is what we're watching for: enthusiasm. Right. He had a couple of them, and I should have wrote them all down. And enthusiasm. But what he said is this: finish.
Yeah.
Finish. And to me, I will say this. One thing I noticed is as these guys were running the drills, as they were battling in 7-on-7s, as they were trying to do this, is that Adam Thielen ran full speed after catching a pass all the way to the end zone. Now he's like a 17-year veteran. Now he's also like a super good dude, like one of those over good guys, like an overachiever. So he's always going to do it. But people were finishing plays, running backs, everything. It's like reaching the ball over the goal line. The reason I bring this up is because I feel like if we're looking for leadership, it feels like maybe the team is listening and accepting the Dave Canales message, aka Ted Lasso.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of receivers today that were making contested catches. Like they heard the message, like finish this play. Some that come to the top of my head, Terrace Marshall Jr. had a couple really good snags in the back of the end zone.
Man,
You know
what? We got to give him Eddie Piñero's barber's number.
Everybody
He's getting
rolls their
cut.
eyes when we say Terrace Marshall Jr. But I mean, the dude
He got a
really,
cool visor.
He's really good at that contested catch. But no, you're right though. I feel like the message is hitting home that hey, when you have the ball in your hand, you need to be mean. That running back, I forget who it was, straight up knocked over.
Who's the new guy?
Trevin Wallace.
Dude,
Bro, he got
ran him.
bulldozed.
And they're not supposed to be tackling. They try to hug each other.
Yeah.
And it was probably a little awkward. You know, it's kind of like when you run into somebody in the hallway and you don't know we're both going left or both going right.
Yeah.
So they weren't trying to, but that running back just ran.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a good look for Tevin Walker, though.
No,
he just
Trevin Wallace,
whatever his name is. Well, guess what? He'll have to make that. He'll have to knock him over for me to remember his name.
Yeah, I mean, but so I mean, again, I don't know if we're just like jumping around here, but when you see them in person, things are just different, right? Like the last time we did a pod, I talked about how J.C. Horn, when you see how nimble he is and how athletic he is, sometimes it doesn't really come off when you're watching it through a screen. Likewise, when you see Xavier Legette in person, my God, that dude is a tank.
We've got our mutant, CK.
We need to pray for every defensive back that he might come across.
I hope I'm ready to put bodies in the dirt.
Dude, he is. I mean, he really is a mutant.
You know what I will do? I'll pray over their graves.
Like, dude, he's bit like. You know, you hear a lot of the Deebo Samuel comparisons, and it's a good comparison. And to be frank, he's a little bit bigger.
He's way bigger than Deebo.
And a little bit faster than Deebo Samuel.
I think is Deebo that tall?
Deebo's like 5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah,
he's
this guy
is
is
not a big guy.
So
he's
there's
every bit of 6'3", 6'4". Like
there's a contention over how tall XL is. Like some people have told me he's 6'1". He's listed as 6'3" on the Panthers.
He looks bigger than 6'1".
He's a mutant, dude.
In person, dude.
This is CK's words. What do we need? We needed excitement. We needed a guy to rally behind and this and that. We needed Cam Newton. Cam Newton walks in the door and we're all, well, you know how I get. I get hot and bothered around Cam Newton. Woo, woo.
Your mom's in the chat. Calm down.
XL might be that. How do you describe him? You use the word a lot.
I mean, it's a mutant.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a laboratory.
There's, you know, it's. I talked about it last night, and you know, I think it's. I think it's true when you in person. So, you know, as we talked about ad nauseum because it's so exciting. We are staying in the same hotel that the Panthers players are in, and they're. I mean, you could tell people are football players, right? Yeah. But it's not like such a stark difference from normal people that you're in awe of it.
Yeah,
and
one of them looked like a model.
Right.
That's what I thought. I was like, I wanted to tell the guy that Alex Cook.
Yeah.
I was like, if this doesn't work out for you, you should be.
There's nothing Antonio loves more than a handsome
right.
Player, really.
So
yeah. Hey, dude,
but
you're GQ models for real.
But the approach that I had with that is like that is. They look like football players, but they could also just not be football players, right? But you see a guy like Xavier Legette, you can see a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, you see a guy like Cam Newton. Yeah. These guys are mutants. I said it when a couple
laboratory.
Years ago.
They made them in a lab.
When I saw it, you know,
in Wuhan.
I said it a couple years ago when Nick Bosa came with the 49ers and the year that we traded Christian McCaffrey. And Nick Bosa was just like, he just looked different. He was a different player than everybody else on the field just from his build. And you get the same feeling with Xavier Legette, in my opinion, that you get with like a Cam Newton. Now, I'm not saying he's at the level of Cam Newton. I'm just stating that mutant body type. That's just, he has one purpose in life.
Yeah.
And that was to play football.
But like, I feel like as time goes on, you're seeing these type of guys that like they didn't used to make them that big and that fast, you know. But Xavier Legette is a part of this like new breed of superior athlete, and
I don't know if it's a new breed. It's like the breed.
Well, I mean that's why the Panthers wanted to trade up for this guy. They know the skill set. They know he's an incredible jump ball receiver. He has the ability to run away from you. And I was telling this to D's and CK while we were sitting there. Wait until this man stiff arms someone into a grave, dude. Like, it's going to be insane.
We're going to be praying over their bodies.
Dude, everyone is so quickly going to be an Xavier Legette fan.
I am.
if you are not already, there's something wrong with you. Like, listen to the dude; he's the coolest guy ever. But after he plays ball this year, people are really gonna like this dude.
My advice to opposing DBs is you better be great with your technique because holding ain't gonna help you.
You better be in the weight room.
You
son.
can hold on for dear life, and this mug's gonna drag you across the damn.
Oh yeah,
He's gonna score. 2 people are gonna score touchdowns. It's just gonna help the Panthers.
Another thing, and by the way, shout out to CK. Follow him on Twitter @Allen. Still providing the best content. But he didn't have Jonathan Mingo being one of Bryce's main weapons on his bingo card. And Jonathan Mingo had a bunch of receptions today.
All right, perfect time and segue. Andy, get up here. Get on this mic right here.
Come on, dog.
Padawan Panther. First of all, tell us. So I met Andy today in person. First time we met, right?
Yeah.
Give him. You gotta give him the mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Andy comes up to me. He said, Padawan Panther. He said, and I said, oh, and I always ask if you introduce yourself to me, I say, I want a picture with you.
Yeah.
Right. But what'd you say? You said you pointed at this.
I said you bought this jersey.
And how'd you get that jersey?
Mingo Bingo last year. I just,
Yeah, well,
been following the show for a couple of years, and I guess I just got lucky. I don't know.
Bingo Bingo. Boy, it was the longest giveaway in the history of the world.
So are we doing a yearly Mingo Bingo? Is this like a tradition?
Boy, after last year, I felt like it was a lesson. What is it when you beat yourself up, or like when you're
a sadist?
Sadist.
Yeah.
That giveaway was a sadist giveaway, man. We were trying. All right, so Andy, you drove up today, last minute decision to come to camp. First of all, what'd you think about it?
I mean, I think the turnout was good. I was telling my buddy, I said, if they did this every Saturday, I'd be here.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fun. It's just a fun environment. Takeaways for me, I think that Jadeveon Clowney is as advertised. He's what, 6 foot.
He's a mutant.
He's every
6'11",
bit of 6'6", dude. He's a monster.
So Jadeveon is as advertised. He's big. He's menacing. I think he's going to play that edge really well. And then other than that, I think the biggest takeaway that I had was I think that, and I don't know if this is messaging coming from the coaches or what, but I feel like the receivers were, when Bryce would find himself scrambling out of the pocket, right? I think the receivers would find themselves trying to get open.
Oh,
Which
good.
I think we struggled with last year.
Yeah.
I think the receivers would struggle to get open, or would just run the route and then maybe give up, right? But I know I noticed Mingo, and I think I saw this from like your Wednesday when you guys went live the other day. Mingo, Deontay Johnson would kind of sit in zones and get open, and would give Bryce a second, to gain 6 or 7 yards. And that's what we didn't see last year.
I thought Mingo was more, and that's why we brought you up right here, because of Mingo Bingo and Mingo has been more involved than I anticipated.
I still have my problems with him though.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. But he's running running with first teamers at times.
Yeah.
And Bryce hit him like 3 times. So that was interesting. All right. So how about this is tell me a player that you're excited about real quick before we get you off. That's actually sounded the weird. That's the weirdest thing I've ever said in my life. It's like second. I feel like I need to go smoke a cigarette with an 8-year-old now.
So Greg Olson is one of my favorite Panthers of all time. So I like the tight end position. So Tommy Tremble, but then I'm really excited about Jatavion Sanders.
He's the big boy from Texas, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he cracks? That's a tough tight end. Sometimes is a difficult position for rookies to crack. Do you think we see him this year a lot, or do you?
I don't think we'll see him a lot. I'm excited about the potential that he brings. I think that it won't take long, and he might beat out Tommy Tremble. But I don't know that we'll see him a lot.
Or Ian Thomas.
Yeah, well.
All right, maybe.
Yeah,
How about this?
I'm not seeing a clear-cut person that's getting the first team reps.
You're right.
Yeah. I'm not really either. I've seen a lot of Ian Thomas, but other than that, I don't really know if they have a set lineup of who they're rolling with yet. I mean, I assume it's going to be Tremble and Thomas.
All right, Andy, that's a fresh ass hat, brother, and I love hats.
It's about 10 seconds old. I just bought it out of the team.
Yeah.
Today,
How much did that roll you at the
Fresh
team
to
store?
death.
Money's no object.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't
I
worry.
mean,
Yeah.
was it all
Let me
right?
just
How about
get-
this? Was it over or under 60?
under.
Okay.
My wife's not listening. So
Because if you go to Liz, if you go to
yeah.
that's straight. If you go to Liz, that's what you're paying for real. It's
Yeah.
fresh. It's fresh. Well, thank you, Andy. Look, winner of Mingo Bingo, we're gonna give away some rawers. Dude, somebody's already bought them on the chat. I can't run the chat. The freaking laptop is over there dead.
Let me see your chat, CK.
But all right. Look, Ricky. Come on, get out of here. Get on these sticks,
Come
brother.
on, man.
Get on these sticks
Let
over
me see you
here.
over there, dog.
And why didn't you? You know what? I'm mad at you. No, well, first, I'm really happy. Hey,
Yeah, shout out everybody. Welcome
He's
Ricky
always
Bombardier to the pod.
I think he was up behind us on Wednesday, and I was like,
Was I? Yeah, I was in VIP.
yeah, and I was like, woof, woof.
So see, I wasn't.
You didn't see this
watching-
hair?
Well, the problem was I was watching the practice like you're supposed to be doing, right?
Oh.
I was taking notes.
I was
Look,
gonna try.
I got my little like like I'm an old.
Look,
what's
he's
that?
so fresh.
Nancy Drew. or whatever
Look,
it
he's
is.
so young.
Little like field notes thing. I'm sitting there being like a
yeah.
nerd, writing down what I'm writing down.
To
Yeah.
be fair, we didn't see him either.
And I'm a
Because
hard
he was
person to miss.
behind us.
I'm a hard person to miss, man. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not tiny.
Look, he's so fresh. He's taking his notes. He's like, look, he's
Yeah.
such a good boy.
But,
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are. You're a good boy.
but
All right.
Ricky, what was some of your takeaways from the first few days of training camp so far?
Yeah, so Thursday I thought was a tough day to get a true evaluation of because of the weather, right?
Yeah.
I think that it was really easy to tell that in that situation they were having trouble with the snaps. There
Okay.
was multiple snaps that were low that just didn't even make it to Bryce.
Yeah.
Today I saw 2 or 3 that still did
Right.
the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm watching.
But have you been watching Who's Snapping? It's Austin Corbett, right?
It's also Corbett. And I'll tell you the most interesting thing that I tweeted out today was the second unit for the offensive line. Cade Mays was running for center for the second unit. Brady Christensen was actually the right guard.
Right guard.
Nash
Noticed that.
Jensen was the left guard.
And that's weird because they had been running Christensen at center.
Correct. That's all I saw on Thursday
Yeah.
was Brady Christensen
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
that second
Right.
team. So I think what I'm gauging with that, right, and this is just me inferring. I have no
Yeah.
actual.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
This is what
But
we
I'm
do, bro.
guessing that Brady Christensen, they're trying to get him acclimated with all 5 positions along
Yeah.
that offensive line.
Dude,
They're
we
saying
did-
A jack of all trades,
is a-
master of
he is.
none.
Swiss
Look,
Army
they
knife.
signed Yosh Neiman, and
Yeah.
he's on the PUP. So I think they're sitting there saying, we know Brady can play left tackle. That's where he's familiar. That's where he played
Right.
in college. He played left guard for us. He's been taking center snaps. What happens if our right guard and our right tackle run into an issue?
Yeah.
And if Icky struggles, right? If Icky
Yeah.
struggles and they go with Yosh early,
yeah.
who's the backup right tackle?
Dude,
I just
have
got
gotta get
sick.
Brady
I
familiar.
just got throw up in my mouth.
Listen,
Yeah.
I have been saying for a while.
Mix in a water.
I don't know how it's going to happen.
How about stop talking about
I
Icky
really
failing?
do. I think Brady Christensen is going to play meaningful snaps this year. I really do. I think that
I
they're.
think that if anybody gets hurt, he's playing.
Yeah, I think that he's like the designated backup for whatever position, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been a long time fan
He is.
of
He's,
Brady. I've been
I
one
don't
of
think
his.
anyone knows that.
I have been one of
Have
his-
you actually been a
Hold on.
proponent
is this
of
the
Brady
first time we heard about you
I have
uh,
been one of his longest defenders.
getting a Chuba?
I maintain that he should have been given an opportunity to try left tackle.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I still need to see a little more from Icky before I feel confident saying that he's our future long-term
Sure.
left tackle.
All right.
So
Sure.
I think Brady will fit in somewhere in this line in
Sure.
2024.
So as we talk about things we saw, sometimes we need to look at things we didn't see, right? So
Okay.
we were talking about, I guess, yesterday with the Thursday practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like there were some questions about the offensive line, and not questions first because these are reps. These are like it's
There's no pads.
yeah,
Yeah.
but in one place, people are talking about how the offensive line isn't, I guess, not looking great, but not doing. But on the other side, I'm trying to flip the story and say, man, that's an example of how the defense is getting the run fits right and some different things like this. So speaking about running backs, the person I have seen is Miles Sanders.
Mhm.
I have not seen Chuba Hubbard.
Oh, I have.
I
Yeah.
like what is he have all right, so what have you guys seen from Chuba? Because to me that's not a name that I'm like going, oh, look at that. And I know, look, in
Yeah.
training camp, by the way, running backs is very like you can't tackle, you can't do any of this. So they are practicing run plays though. But I really feel like Miles Sanders has been the featured guy in the unit.
I think if you look at the entirety of the offense, there hasn't been a clear-cut first team on either the receiving core, the running backs,
except for Deontay Johnson, who is going to be my favorite.
No, Deontay Johnson, he's been when Bryce has been out there has been a heavy mix of where Deontay Johnson's not out there and Marshall, Mingo, and Amir Smith Morset, right?
Yeah.
That they've been out there.
XL hasn't been on the first team every time.
On the second, but no, he's been on they've been splitting a lot of first teams. So there isn't a clear cut first. I will say this much: Miles Sanders seems to be getting the first snaps when Bryce Young comes up there to play 7-on-7 or 11-on-11, right? Yeah. So Miles Sanders seems to be the primary guy. Chuba Hubbard is still splitting those first team reps with him, but the wide receiving core and the running back core, there isn't a clear cut first team right now. There isn't. And it's even the people you think that are first team are still splitting those reps and coming off the field. And Bryce is getting that. And I think they're doing a great job because what they're doing is they're building chemistry for Bryce among all the potential people, the most likely people that are going to be on this roster come, fall.
Yeah. Can I just interject real quick?
Yeah.
So Panther Gal is in the chat. I always read chat because I'm the producer. She's asking us what a roarer is. But we have to let everybody see it. It's right in front of you.
Give it to.
Do we have the other one? No. I don't want to blow on the one that's all these for you.
This is the used one. This is the used one. First, all right, Ricky, we're gonna do this. Ricky, what do you think about not my assessment? Again, it's not an assessment.
Yep.
I'm not making a judgment on how these guys look or this and that. I've seen Miles Sanders. Sure. I've seen his number. I haven't gone, oh, there's Chuba. Tell me what you think. This running back room, Jonathan Brooks, a star we hope in the making, but he's not practicing right now.
Yeah.
What do you think's going on with this running back group?
The running back room is a really interesting one. I spoke about it on my last episode of the show that I did, and I think that what you're alluding to, especially what you just said about mixing in the Miles Sanders and Chuba, it's interesting for camp, right? And I think that they're just kind of crossing all of their T's and dotting all of their I's and seeing what every single player does in certain situations.
Yeah.
It's a brand new staff. They're getting a look at a roster that was built by an incompetent staff that didn't have a vision. So it's really difficult to know
two incompetent staffs.
Correct. And some of them are holdovers and some of them are new ones.
Chuba was drafted by Matt Rule's wife.
Right.
I'm a fan.
Right. I'm good for her. Like she nailed it.
Yeah,
right.
I'm a fan of
Well,
Chuba.
he did.
I'm a fan of Chuba Hubbard. I think he's been a really good running back since he's been here.
And what I've seen from him Thursday and today, I have seen him getting some good handoffs. I've seen him mixing in with the first team. I don't know that I would have to look at my little Polly Pocket notebook here. But I would have to see if I have him marked as the first one out with the first team each time.
I just haven't noticed him.
Well, where I've noticed him the most is in checkdowns.
Okay.
I've noticed him really improving and catching the ball even in camp. I'm seeing it where he is making really nice catches on these short little check downs or last minute type of, options for Bryce. Because Bryce has had a lot of scrambling abilities so far in camp.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily because the offensive line is breaking down. It's not necessarily because the defensive line is getting pressure, but there's just not a lot of movement happening on the outside.
Yeah, and
right?
that's just kind of how it happens in practice,
happens.
right? We can't tackle, we can't disrupt.
The offensive line really
we have to
100%.
play.
Whenever it's like non-padded practice, the defense always has the advantage
100%.
on the line.
And that's where I have been impressed with Chuba, though, is that when his number has been called as that like safety valve almost, if you will, he's making plays. And when he gets the ball, what I've noticed with Chuba, last year I thought he looked the most explosive I had seen him in his entire career. He talked about his core injury that he had. This year it's a whole nother level for me. I am seeing burst immediately. And his transition from a running back to a receiver or a receiver to a running back when he catches those balls that I'm talking about, man, I mean, it is instant. And that's something I think he struggled with. I think that he struggled to turn. And this year, man, he is catching that ball and he's getting, south quick.
I think the thing that I like about Bryce that I've seen just in him warming up, it's actually I saw it in a warm-up drill, is him running he's on the move, running forward, like he's running towards the line of scrimmage and throwing the
Keeping
ball.
his eye downfield.
And but it like the twerk in the air, like the twerk.
Yeah.
Always has to be
Twerk it.
sexual.
Tony, he's
sorry.
talking about the explosiveness. Did we not have, I mean, I don't know if it was me or Cody that I was talking to. Chuba today on one of the first run plays he had.
Took off.
He just
Took off.
his acceleration, that explosiveness, just like the moment he hit that second level was crazy. I felt like he could have been in the end zone in a matter of 2
I
seconds.
feel like people really forgot how good he was in college. Like
Well,
the dude
What,
was just
Bryce
like a
or
Chuba.
oh,
The
Chuba.
dude was just a
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
he's
he had
outstanding.
one
Yeah.
giant season that way. He is a straight line runner to me, and that is like you get him,
Yeah.
he's gonna hit the hole and he's gonna hit it hard. Not a crazy shiftiness. Not that that's necessary,
But that has.
but
its
you have
place
to
in
run
this
north
offense.
south. The problem with Chuba was he just couldn't catch for the first 2 years.
Yeah, which I do. Feel
He's
that-
gotten better. Look,
Yes,
I
has
think
gotten
he is.
better.
I
Yeah.
think he is. Well, first, he's got the best sweatpants out of all the Panther players. I saw him walking out of the hotel.
What?
Yeah, he had these retro ass, awesome Carolina. Like they look like they were made in 1994.
You put a real eye to detail about how these players look. I
Yes.
appreciate that
Oh,
about you.
dude, are you picking
Hey.
that up?
Yeah.
Hey,
Are you
I'm
picking that up?
You
Yeah.
might be a technical person. There's strats here is with the math. These
Yeah.
this. I'm a big
broad shoulder, ample chest.
yeah.
Yeah, broad shoulders and
Well,
ample
one thing to the point
chest.
that he was just talking about the burst on that play that you were
Yeah.
saying where he bursts up to that second level.
Yeah.
I think it's important to note that it's really difficult to get that burst to get to that second level when you don't have lanes opened up for you.
Yes.
And what I have seen from this interior offensive line, now look, take it with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
There's no pads, it's shorts and helmets,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
Right.
what they are doing and what this scheme, this blocking scheme that
Right.
Canales has going here, and with these
Right.
new interior offensive linemen,
Yeah.
they're sealing off blocks really well. They're moving quickly. Both Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis are both moving at a really quick pace. I think
Yeah.
that their movements look really nice so far on the interior, and that's something we didn't see at all last season. And that is where you're going to see Chuba be able to deliver exactly what y'all are talking about, that north-south explosion.
Yeah.
He's not an east-west. He's not going to
Right.
make you miss.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
man, if
just
you
go.
give
He
him a
just hits
runway,
it and runs.
Give him a runway, and
He's
going to
get 4. He's going to get 4.
Fight for those extra yards. Like he'll run through you. He doesn't look at the next move and
Right.
try
Right,
to
right.
evade a tackle. He runs through it.
It's
and
like
that's where he
he's
leaves
like a
yards on the
wrecking
field.
ball. Like it's
That's-
just wreck
that's
it.
why
and
I
That's where
was so-
Jonathan Brooks, I
Yeah.
think, is so exciting
he's gonna be
because
a
he does the
star.
opposite. He's
Right.
got that foresight when he
Yeah, he has
runs.
a little
or he
bit
can do both.
He could do both.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, man. I don't know if like you guys probably
he's
seen him
legit.
on posts,
Yeah,
getting like
yeah.
autographs and stuff. He's a large dude.
Yeah,
man. I
he's
saw him on Thursday.
He's a star.
I
He's
mean,
a really big guy,
he's
man.
bigger than Jonathan Stewart.
I'm really curious to see what his activity level is. I saw a video of Eric All, the rookie tight end out of Iowa, the other day, and he's 9 months removed, just a little bit over 9 months removed from his torn ACL, and he is full ramp. I mean, he's
Yeah,
running. He's
it's a
cutting
different day and
laterally.
era. Yeah.
And now Jonathan Brooks is just shy of 9 months. We haven't seen him do anything, so I'm curious to see at the end of August where he is. I don't foresee them putting him on the PUP unless he's had some sort of setback.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's 6 weeks in the regular season away from being able to play after
Yeah.
what I've seen.
All right, Ricky, hang out. You're not moving. You're staying. Look, we got to do some little not housekeeping, some great things. Tell us who was asking. Was it Panther Gal asking about the roar?
Yeah, so Panther guy was asking about
She remembered though.
the roarer, but hey, we
Okay,
need to
no,
show
we're gonna do it
everybody.
anyway. So we're
how
giving
cool
away.
this
We're
is.
gonna give away some roars today. And by the way, this is our style. And Ricky, I hope you've gotten this vibe from us too. But by the way, give him the mic and tell him to plug his podcast.
Oh yeah,
No, I mean, no, it's like
my
this.
podcast is the Bo Body Show. You follow me on Twitter. I'm Ricky Bo Body, and I also write for Cat Crave. I have articles
Nice.
all year for that.
Our whole stick is
The
rising
rising tide lifts all boats.
tide lifts all
Everybody
boats.
should be following and supporting all the Panther content creators trying to bring Panther fandom to everybody.
So we met this guy at the bar, not the bar, at where WFNZ, it was a bar. WFNZ was doing their post on Wednesday, and he's had these, and I said, "Man, what's your shirt about?" He's had a shirt on, and I was like, "Tell me about it." So he has these things. First, the packaging on this is incredible.
Yeah, like look
It
at
makes look at the and then look if you put it to the other one, it like you can build these Panthers.
yeah,
It's
so
wild.
you can like build them to
All right.
be like this really
So
cool
what
shirt.
this really is a spin on what they call an Aztec death whistle,
Whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is awesome. But Whistle.
I thought he said Wickle.
Whistle. Yeah. I was trying to think about who's in this, and I just feel like this is channeled Joey the Blind Panther. Wakanda forever. It's like this is him in there.
So, but
But
really,
you, all right, before I do that,
really
real quick,
blow on it, though.
you go to rawrers.com, rawrers.com.
It's
To
and
help you out with a little bit of the spelling.
Yeah.
it's RAWRERS.
and if you use the promo code, now we're not making anything off of this. It's like, and
Yeah, we're just helping them.
I just like, look, I was like, dude, this is dope. Like, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, super cool.
If you use the code C3 RAWROFF, which is RAWROFF, so C3 RAW ROFF, RAWROFF, all right, you'll get $15 off, right? And that's just for you guys, not for. But this is what this shit does.
Blow it hard.
You
Yeah.
weren't
expecting it.
Wasn't expecting it.
All right, Ant,
I wonder how much.
Get to one of these.
Ant, come take
man.
over my
it's
mic.
clipping. It's clipping for sure.
You're taking over. Look, we're trading one Ant.
Ant, come
No,
on,
Ricky,
bro.
Ricky, you stay.
Come on, bro. Come on,
Just
bro.
let Ant through. Ant's taking my mic over.
Yes,
Y'all,
sir. Y'all, welcome to C3 Anthony, end of the show. What up, man?
get in there, y'all. Take over for a second.
Yes, sir.
Watch y'all.
Well, listen to kind of Anthony, what's up, brother?
What's going on?
Oh,
What's going
dude,
on?
happy to have you, man. Anthony, how you feeling, man? How do you think this team that we're building right now is starting to look?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think I love how Coach Canales is talking. I think that we have a strong leader at the helm. Bryce Young looks good from everything I've seen. I mean, it seems like he's really connecting with the receivers well. The front seven looks strong. So I think there's a lot of positives going into the season.
I definitely do. And listen, Kev put something in the chat, and I felt like this was a good conversation. He told me to put some respect on our defensive backs. Now, our DBs were rolling out there today, man, and I've been very hard on them. Saying, that we really need more depth. A lot of people don't want us to sign Stephon Gilmore, maybe add some more pieces. But Dan Jackson looked good. I don't even remember all the names on this team, but they were flying around. And I even felt like the defensive backs definitely got the better of the day today against our wide receivers. I don't know if any of y'all agree with that, but that's how it looked like watching it,
Yeah, I think that one of the players that I was watching today that I think had one of the best days today.
Yeah.
Was DiCaprio Boodle.
Yeah.
I thought that he looked really nice. And they had him in matchups against. They had him against Deontay Johnson. They had him against XL. They had him against Mingo, TMJ. I mean, I saw him lined up against just about everybody. And in one-on-ones, I thought that he might have had the best one-on-one day of any defensive back.
Yeah.
Sean Jameson, I also thought performed relatively well.
Yeah.
I thought that he was a bit handsy. I thought he was a bit physical.
Yeah.
On the XL play at the back of the end zone.
Yes.
That's going to get flagged every single time. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that the refs ate all the laundry today and kind of let them play through and find out what they're getting away with.
Yeah.
But I thought that both Deshaun Jameson and DiCaprio Buddha both looked pretty nice today. And I think that they're reason to feel decent about the depth of this unit. Dane Jackson obviously had the interception on Bryce Young today. That looked more to be a miscommunication between Bryce and his initial receiver, as opposed to it being a bad throw.
It seemed as though afterwards he went up to Jonathan Mingo, like, "Hey, that wasn't the right route," or whatever. Something was
Like
said
he was
between-
like basically going up to him,
like
showing like, "Hey, listen, this is what
because
he went straight up to Mingo after because it was no longer first team was no longer on the field, went up to him and they were talking, and after they got done, he was like patting him on the shoulder, like, just telling him, "Hey, we get it next time." That's what you kind of get. The body language was kind of making you lean towards that assumption there. So, I mean, even with that interception, many people are going to talk about it, and there's going to be videos that make it look. It was a great play by the DB, but there is a potential that I don't know what the route miscommunication was, but there was a very good potential that was the case.
Here's the other thing too, is that if you're sitting there and you're asking for Bryce to be a more vocal leader, right, which has been a hot point for fans
for
recently,
a long time.
what you just said alludes to exactly his leadership style.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not barking. Maybe he's not screaming. Maybe he's not, throwing a tablet on the ground or anything like that.
Yeah.
But he walked over and he put his arm on Jonathan Mingo and he explained to him what he saw and what he was looking for. And it's the same thing that's come out in the great article from Mike Kay where he talked about, what was it where he was talking about? Sorry, it's eluding me now. Where he talked about him, or no, it was the offensive coordinator for him, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Talked about him sitting down with him and going through all of the progressions in the film that he watched, and his coaches missed some stuff, and he caught it. That's the same thing he's doing with Mingo there. It's not necessarily a teaching moment, but it's this is what I saw. What did you see? What did you do? Let's figure out where we're off target here, where we're not on the same page, so that when it comes to Sundays, we're on that same page.
Right.
And I think that's a crucial element to team success.
And I feel like that's been Bryce's leadership style. He might not be vocal, but he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
The man studies, like he lives in the playbook, and it's his job to make sure that everybody is. I mean, he's the maestro. He's running the orchestra back there. So, I think that was good from Bryce. I still want to add depth to this defensive back room. I think it's imperative that we need to get some more bodies in there. They look good today, but we're really not going to know what we have until we see some preseason football. And so until then, I really think that at some point we're going to have to get another guy in here just to kind of like we did with Kimoko Toure at edge. It's another warm body. We don't know if EJ Wanham is going to be healthy in time. It was something that had to happen, and I think that the Panthers know that too.
So who do you want to add to the defensive back room? And I'm assuming you mean cornerback, right? Not safeties.
Yes.
So what cornerbacks that are currently on the market would you say? And now, look, there is the chance, though, right? Dan Morgan has already spoke to the fact that he's going to be aggressive with the waiver wire.
Yeah.
There's guys like James Bradbury in Philadelphia right now, former Panther, has a lot of uncertainty about where his spot in the roster is going to be. He's been taking snaps as a second string free safety.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of unanswered questions for him about what his future is in Philadelphia.
Right.
Is that the kind of guy you're looking for, or are you still hoping for that Stephon Gilmore signing?
To be honest, I don't really think Gilmore is even in the wheelhouse anymore. Because if you're Stephon Gilmore, why wouldn't you want to go one where you're going to get paid more, and you're probably going to go to a team that is more of a contender? I mean, the guy is 33, 34 years old now. So he's going to want to go somewhere where he can actually compete. I'm okay with Adoree Jackson. That was a name that went out early. He was a former first-round pick. He's had some injury concerns, but again, like we're picking the best of what's available right now. Adoree Jackson's a young guy who I feel like is looking to prove himself still in the NFL, and I think that's perfect for Rivero and this defense and what they're looking to do.
Well, another thing is you don't know how high Dan Morgan is on these younger guys. Like we mentioned, DiCaprio, Boodle, and Jameson. Like they showed flashes last year. So if the coaching can really help them out, like we may not even need to add veteran cornerback.
Real quick before we move on, I want to make sure if we did we already shout out Panther Gal?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that $20 love bomb. And let's go down here. I don't think we got Dexter.
No, Dexter. Shout out to Dexter all the way in the UK, brother.
Dexter, I appreciate you. Thank you for that $1.99 love bomb.
What did you say?
He said, "What a treaty to see the boys together."
Yes, sir.
So that was thank you for that.
We love doing these live pods, man. They're so fun.
Yeah, Kev re-upped on his 17th month of membership as a C3 Superfan. Said, put some respect on that corner room.
Yeah,
Cody.
man. Kev has been so bullish on this defense. He says that we're all underestimating what they're capable of. So, hey, bro, talk your smack.
Hey, we got an extra one here, and this includes Ant here. It says money for CK to have a soda because I have water and I don't drink. Ants for being 21 now.
Yeah.
Cody for a better hat. And some penicillin for Tony, which he's not here to enjoy that joke, but yeah, exactly. And he says he's still worried about center, and I think it's a valid worry, to be honest. Thank you for that $5 love bomb, Kev. The center situation is one, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but that's one that is legitimately a concern because we don't have anybody on the roster who is known as a center. We don't have
That's a great point.
Right.
I was almost certain that we were going to try and draft one, and frankly, I was surprised when we didn't. But that's a great point. We don't have someone who is a full center full time. That Corbett was a right guard. Christensen has never played center, but they've given him snaps there.
Yeah.
Right now we're just sort of on a hope and a prayer that one of these guys is going to be our long-term center. And I think Corbett can do it. Like, I have no doubt that he can. I think moving from guard to center is much different than going from, say, guard to tackle, which is very, two different skill sets.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I really think that the center position is one of the main positions to be looking at all through training camp.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to say something real quick. It's a really good thing that Tony isn't here, because Kev with that love bomb and Tony's dad chiming in right after.
Hey, shout out to Papa Dunn, man.
Papa Dunn, thank you for popping in here and saying what's up. We got our prayers going on for you
And we
guys.
will make sure that he receives your message. That's a problem.
Absolutely.
Did
you have Ricky? Do you have any points you want to make on the center?
The one interesting thing that I would point out to that too is that everything you said is 100% correct, right?
Yeah.
For Corbett, his whole career, he has been told that he could play center and that he would play center. He took snaps at center in training camp and preseason for the Browns and the Rams. Both of those times in that competition, he did not win out that position, and he ended up at the right guard, which ended up working out well for him. I mean, he was a terrific right guard.
He won the Super Bowl.
But he's coming off of 2 significant leg injuries. Right? All of the previous reporting that we had heard that made me pretty optimistic about Austin Corbett, after being relatively pessimistic about not having a true center on the roster, was that he was moving really well. And that he was getting out in space and he was blocking, reaching that second level. What I've seen now, Thursday was really difficult for me to really make an evaluation because of that weather.
Yeah.
But I did have a couple things when I went back home and watched like the videos that I've recorded. There's a couple instances where I saw him on those, whether it was a pool or whether it was trying to reach that second level. He struggled a little bit to gain traction to get up there at the timing that the rest of that unit got there. I'm hoping that was more of a Thursday thing. Today, I didn't notice it as much, but I did notice even today on one pull in particular that he was just a bit late, and I hope that for Corbett's sake, the snaps improve, because those snaps can be detrimental, especially if we run a bunch out of the shotgun, but that his movement isn't something that gets worse with the season. Because when you have those leg injuries, man, right now is the freshest you are.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Once you start playing these games, that can deteriorate, and that's where I have a little bit of concern, because if that happens, it's Cade Mays, it's Brady Christensen, or it's undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma, Andrew Rain.
And
maybe that waiver wire is a place where they look for a center.
And I think you made that point earlier, Ricky, is that, I've been saying this for a while too. They envision Brady Christensen as a Swiss Army knife. Like, whatever position gets hurt on the O-line, we're just going to put Brady Christensen there and let him hold up. And, dude, to the guy's credit, he's played tackle, guard. Now they're going to try him at center. That injury is really what scares everyone about Austin Corbett.
So,
and we knew that before the draft too.
So that brings us, we talk about the waiver wire. I think it brings it into another conversation, and it's a way too early to tell conversation to have, but waiver wire priority, we're at number 1 right now, right?
Yeah.
There's maybe 4-5 major positions that we would really put effort into. What's the one that you're making a decision to pull the trigger on in the waiver wire in an effort to try to get some depth on this team over? Because you're only, again, when you pull that trigger, you're no longer, you're going to have to wait again. And then you're at the back of the line.
If I'm picking, I would say corner, especially because we don't know EJ. Like, you could say edge, but again, we just made a signing there. I think with EJ One being questionable, I don't know what this pass rush is going to look like. And I think that the only way this backfield looks really good is if we're consistently getting pressure and getting to the quarterback.
So you're saying edge.
Well, no, I'm actually saying corner, because I think that if we're not able to get that consistent pass rush, and right now I don't necessarily know if we will, I really think that we're going to need more firepower in that backfield. 100%. So if I'm picking – I'm picking corner. And what say you, bro?
Honestly, corner I think is the obvious choice potentially, but for me, I think I'd go offensive line just because you can never have like
Yeah.
too much depth in this league now. And
Yeah.
like we talk about Austin Corbett, unsure of him even
Right.
playing the position. So it's
Right.
like you got Brady Christensen, who's a starting offensive lineman
Yeah.
that doesn't have a spot right now, but adding more offensive linemen is never going to hurt your team whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. CK, who would you add at this juncture? Yeah, go ahead, Ricky.
For me, what was the question? We're still talking about the waiver wire.
Like, but yeah, like what would be your
position right
Yeah, right now it's edge for me. You guys spoke to corner being the obvious position. I would actually, and I think that it's one of the obvious positions, right? Like there's a couple problematic areas on this roster. But for me, that edge room is the one that has more problems. Because right now, if JC Horn, and look, I know this is wishing on a prayer, right?
Yeah.
But if he's healthy, you've got a lockdown corner on that side
Yes.
of the ball.
Yeah.
Dane Jackson, I think, in his own scheme, an Evero type of scheme, I think that he's an adequate at worst player.
Yeah, serviceable.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm relatively high on DiCaprio Boodle. I was even last year. I've done a couple of film clips down that show what he has done in the reps that he's been given. I think that in these limited amount of training camp that we've seen so far, and this is a storyline that I think that all of us fans should be following, is what he looks like giving these opportunities. I think that JC Horn seems to be on a snap count almost with some of this training camp.
Yeah.
So I think that
Which I
DiCaprio Boodle
approve
should.
of.
I got no problem with that,
I
right?
approve,
Play
yeah.
smarter, not harder.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
I think that DiCaprio Boodle with more exposure, maybe you see him kind of pick it up and you feel better about the fact that DiCaprio
Yeah.
Boodle and Deshaun Jameson are your backups.
Yeah.
Troy Hill, I think, is a really qualified nickel. Cho Smith-Wade is a guy on Thursday that I thought really stood out to me. The rookie, the 5th-round rookie out of Washington State. He made some really good plays on the ball. Even in his one-on-ones, it's just his ball skills.
Yes.
I think is something that is really difficult for corners. That's the whole reason why people say, well, he plays corner instead of wide receiver, right? Is because ball skills don't always translate to that
He
part.
got the hands.
The mirroring and all that kind of stuff, those are
Right.
great talents and those are great skills. But what do you do when that ball is in your hands? Can you catch it, right? Like that's
Yeah.
where a lot of that difference is.
Yeah.
Cho Smith-Wade has shown the ability to make that turnover and make the offense pay. I think that there is a lot of depth there. It's young depth and it's unknown depth. I don't think there's any depth on that edge position. I mean, outside of Jadeveon Clowney, I don't think there's a single answer. And that includes DJ Wanham. DJ Wanham is a cleanup artist. And if you don't have somebody getting on base for you, that cleanup hitter doesn't hit a grand slam if there's nobody on base. He hits a solo.
Do we all feel that Caleb Chasson is just like an afterthought? Like this guy was once upon a time a first-round pick. You know, he had the athletic talent, the profile, and but I feel like fans are just like, yeah, whatever. It's he got 2 sacks in 3 years or something like that. Like, is there any hope that anyone on this roster can actually break out? Because once upon a time they had potential, but it seems like they just didn't live up to it.
For me, there's always hope. We're
Yeah,
Panthers fans. Like, what do we have other than hope, right?
Yeah,
there's nothing
right,
in the
right.
trophy case.
Yeah.
There's nothing record-wise from the past 4 years that we can really like look back fondly on.
Yeah.
So what other than hope do we have? Clavon Chason, look, he's got 5 sacks more than the 4 of us combined in the last 3 seasons, right?
I mean, that's not. Yeah.
But I will still say that. But there was Tony here is the master of sacks. He's got 6
they
apparently.
wouldn't give me a chance,
But I will say though that a pedigree, right, a first-round pedigree, the natural talent is still something that we talk a lot about here in Carolina about. Coaching matters, development matters. If he had the goods at one point that somebody saw in him,
Right.
maybe you can harness enough that he's a good rotational player. I'm not looking for him to be a breakout star. I'm not even sure he makes the roster, but I'm also not going to be so pessimistic that I'm like, what an awful player. Why did we do this? It was slim pickings, man.
Right.
Like the guy has a pedigree, a first-round pedigree. He was a good player in college. Maybe this defense in a rotational piece can be where he
And
finds his fit.
I think there's something important to add to this conversation too, is what's available. So, for example, if we're talking about the waiver wires, like we might need edge a little bit more, but if there's a better corner available, then you would jump on that guy, So, yeah, I really think we have a lot of options available to us. I like being number 1 in the waiver wires. I'm excited to see what Dan Morgan can do with this position that he has in the waivers. It's all about what's available to us, I think.
All right. Look, I want to get my man Strats up here. Come on. Come up here, you beautiful person.
Come on, bro.
Look, he got so mad at me last night. I felt like I got in a fight with my boyfriend last night. He said
I'm
this.
your boyfriend.
He was. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
You're my.
come
I'm a
on.
generous lover.
Yeah.
Strats got mad because he's asking about a real football question, and all I did was talk about Eddie Pinheiro's hair, and he's like, "Stop talking about the hair." Strats, dude, first.
Strats, brother, what's up, man?
So great to have you, man. You're a big part. Look, big.
Oh yeah.
And you guys hold down the Friday free for all, and you call in.
These are my free for all boys, man.
It's fantastic. Strats, it was first time we've got to meet in person. And you got to bring your son to the game. So how about, what did you think of training camp today? And just rap like you do on Friday free for all.
Fair enough. I guess this is the only time that I've really ever been to this type of event.
Yeah.
Before, since it was in Spartanburg. I don't know. Maybe it's a lazy take, but it was like a little too far for me to go. So it was cool that since I'm in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. Don't have no leg to stand on.
Do the math. Analysts of that.
Of course. All in all, I
Pat
thought it was
Bond,
a great experience. I said last night on the Friday Free for All that one of the things I was looking forward to was really just meeting you all in person and just saying hey and just kind of kicking it. I think that was the coolest part. And then, like you kind of alluded to at the beginning of this, it's difficult there's so many things going on on the field when you get there that it's hard to really pay attention to all these different details and everything unless you literally, especially if you have
focus on one.
You do. And with a son, he's pretty good today, but still,
it was
like,
great. It was great. But it's seeing the trees from the forest, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I've been saying this, and I know it sounds like a broken record, because I say this all the time on the podcast, but when I go to the game or the games, I'm inundated by the experience. I'm inundated by the experience, and it's hard to do what we're trying to do, like Ricky's doing with his little notebook and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's actually what you have to do to really glean anything from these experiences, because really this is what's great about these types of sporting events. Is for us, it's not about the game, it's not about the practice, it's about us being there, and like the emotions that come with it. So that has been fantastic. But look, Xavier Legette, this guy, look, I want to give a shout out to my bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso. This mug, he told us this guy was different.
He is different.
He is. Our team will draft South Carolina players like all the time. No Clemson ever, but that's cool. Whatever.
All right. So last night when we were hanging out, and again, when we went around the Friday free for all, and I asked every person, what are they looking for? Right? If you can, I think I remember what you asked, but if you can, tell me what you told me to look for, and then I will try to tell you what I saw, and then you also tell me what you saw. Do you even remember?
I just made it up on the spot.
Okay.
No, it was mainly. I think the biggest concern for me looking at last year to this year is it starts. I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, like the coaches said this, and many coaches have said this, but it starts up front. So the D line, the O line, were to me the most important focuses. You see that functioning effectively, and that buys Bryce some of that time, and then of course shrinking it down to, I guess, the 2.7 clock on him to get the ball out helps too. But I don't know, that was the main kind of focus, and I don't know, they are kind of far away too, so it's also, unless you had like a telescopic camera, which CK probably did have, then it's tough to see too. So that was the main thing, was O-line, D-line.
Yeah, and one thing that a lot of people have talked about is how is last year we had such an ineptitude when it came to the wide receivers, right?
Yeah.
And bad. And I know, again, if you listen to this podcast religiously, like so many people do, and I thank you first, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your time.
Oh yeah,
Anthony coming out today, Strat's coming out, like your time to me. Is incredibly important. So I think, I'm like, man, I wouldn't even listen myself half the time. But we saw those wide receivers in that discussion over and over about how they were not separating. They weren't doing this. And then one thing that I've said on this podcast over and over is I don't have a love. I don't have a crush. And we know we've been around, and everybody goes, "It's Derek Brown, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
Derek Brown. It's Derek Brown, right? Yes, that's the only crush because he is a monster. He had 100 whatever tackles.
Yeah.
I have a crush.
Well, all my crushes
Yeah.
I
broke
got it.
my heart. So.
I have a crush
That's
now.
what a crush
I got a
does.
crush, and it's not XL.
Oh.
Oh, look, don't worry. XL is a crush. Don't worry.
I mean,
He's my
Tony,
type. He's my type.
So who's
No,
your crush?
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah.
This guy is not the biggest. What I would look, if he doesn't work out with the Panthers, this mug is going on Dancing with the Stars. He is over there working on his. The one thing I've seen different about him, and I don't know if it's just him doing his thing or whatever, but what we've heard is that he's an exceptional route runner. We've heard that, which is actually pretty incredible for a player who's basically under a rookie contract. To be a polished route runner this early in your career is different. But he is working on his own. And I don't know if it's just trying to TikTok cool, but he's working on these moves as he's walking back to the group. I don't see the other receivers doing that. They are young. They're Jonathan Mingo, but I hope that they feed off of this guy. He's
dynamic. He's dynamic.
Yes.
Dude, he has those fancy feet, bro. Like, but that's why he was brought in. They told him that he was going to be the number one receiving option on this team. Yeah, and I think that's what they're doing. I think that he dedicates himself to his craft. I love what he brings to the team, and I think that's going to be the reason why this offense and why specifically this passing attack is going to run. If it really is going to move, it's going to be because of Deontay Johnson working in that short to intermediate, really, really messing with that defense and those underneath coverages, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like Dave Canales spoke about like how when we're building our offense, we're trying to like give the ball to one person. Who's that going to be for us? Deontay Johnson. Last year was Mike Evans for him, then DK Metcalf. It feels great to have a guy like that on this roster that you can rely on. So it makes sense, as Tony was saying, that after a route or a play, he's still perfecting his craft. Because I think he knows that a lot lies on his shoulders this year, and he's looking to get paid. And I think Carolina is a great spot for him, especially for what Bryce Young needs.
Yeah, I think that I've said before, I think him and Dave Canales are a match made in heaven because he's a young coach who needs, to kickstart this team in a real way after he's been losing for a long time. And Deontay Johnson needed a new change of scenery. He needed to go somewhere new where he could be in the type of role that he wanted
Poor
to be
guy.
in Pittsburgh.
Poor guy. I mean, he needed to change the scenery and the upgrade is Carolina. Poor fella.
I mean, hey, Mike Tomlin has a how we're saying Dave Canales has a type between Mike Evans and DK Metcalf.
It's a great point by Ant.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin has a type, and it's not Deontay Johnson.
Oh, no, that's
Absolutely
not
not.
true.
No.
No, they always have these types of receivers. It is his type.
I don't know.
They
Not
just deal with them
anymore.
for 2 years. Antonio Brown. Who's the guy that got traded to the Bears for a second? There's like been
Claypool, but that's he was a big dude though.
it's the diva.
Yeah, like,
These like they're
yeah.
doing the TikToks, they're doing the this and that. And first, I want to caution people on drawing judgments on one clip, right? And so what we do is people they saw one clip that the media hyped up about Deontay Johnson not giving full effort on a fumble recovery or something like that, and you sum up the entirety of someone's career and effort in that clip. I want to caution people with that. I don't think that that's the way. First, all I would say is there's a couple of rules I would say. One is that if you want to know something is right or wrong, would you do it in front of your grandmother? Right? It's like that's like a good would you say that to your if you are questioning the morality or the ethics of something, would you say it to your grandmother? And the other is, would you want your life to be summed up and epitomized in one moment? And so I think that's an unfair, but this is what we do. This is what we do when we do podcasts like this, where we're hyper focusing on things. So I do love the idea of this being a good change of scenery, But more importantly, I like what Ant's saying of the guy. And because Dave Canales' offense is simple, and that's not a knock. It's not a knock. It is what works in pro football. This is why I don't like when the college game infiltrates a little bit too much, right? Because when you try to do all this flowery, but when you try to do the last year, we heard I kind of got upset about the vanilla. But my thing is this: is if you can't execute a basic play, how are you going to do something complicated? But in the NFL, everybody is fast. The offensive linemen run 5.1s. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody is the premier athlete. So what looks cool in college don't pan out in the NFL.
Yeah.
And what Dave Canales' offense is built upon is you run the ball to soften up the secondary, and then you shoot down the field.
Yeah, it seems very old school in that way, like throwback almost.
It is old school, but it's simple.
I mean, it kind of comes back to the roots of what the Panthers kind of were in some of the great years that we were, like pound the run game until we can get them pushed back enough to be like, all right, now we can take that. Now we can take that throw deep. Speaking of which, I missed this today. I wish I had seen this. Did anyone see any of Bryce's deep balls? Did they do any of that today?
Well, he threw a lot of passes to the sideline.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah,
like out routes.
A lot of out routes, intermediate stuff. Like they haven't really uncorked a lot, but I think that'll come in time.
I think I think when talking about the offense being simple, like if something simple is working, there's no need to make it complicated.
Yeah.
And I just think when the time is when we got to adjust, when they know what we're doing, I think that's when you really put your trust in Dave Canales and expect him to evolve and adapt.
You attack weaknesses. You do this and the way I guess to make some analogies as a teacher, this is what I like to do all right. So I have a big issue when we take street food, poor people food, oxtail, the worst cuts, and then you upsell it, and you're like, I'm a super chef.
Yeah, it's rich
like a
food,
like a $22 taco. A taco is a street food.
Yeah.
Right. But a good taco is delicious. So a good meal, right? A good 3-yard run is a good meal.
Yeah.
So sometimes what I think is that when we talk about vanilla, when we talk about complexity, it makes it about the coaches and not the players. Yeah. It's like, I got to show you I'm smart. I got to show you that I can beat you. But really, at this level, everybody is the elite of the elite. It's hat on hat on hat. And so if you can't just run a simple run play and get 3 yards, you're failing.
Absolutely.
And so I know you can run motions. You can do all of these different things. And I'm not saying that you don't need complexity, right? But what I am saying is that sometimes a great burger doesn't need to cost $82.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Strat said it. Keep it simple, stupid.
Do you remember last year during? I cut you
Oh
off.
yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I do. I feel like we're fixing to make the same point. Like last year, it felt like it was needlessly complex.
Yes.
And because they had Bryce, and Bryce was billed as this big brain quarterback that can do it all, that can handle it all, is in the playbook. They sort of rested on their laurels too much and thinking, all right, well, he'll be able to handle it. Just throw the playbook at him. And that's not how you treat a rookie quarterback.
No,
Not
it's
at all,
not.
no.
I'm thinking about specifically the Seahawks game last year. Do you remember?
What, when we threw it 64 times?
Well,
Yeah.
that part was good, actually. But what I was thinking of more or less is I think it was towards the end of the game, the penalties accrued by our team on O-line and D-line. Do you remember this?
Oh, where they were more than what the drive was?
Well, it was like 7
offsides.
Yeah.
It was like 7 false starts in a row. or
Yeah, it was
something crazy like that.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, to your point, I mean, that's where the coaching makes something complicated that just needs to stay simple.
Yeah.
And I think when talking about what you want to do with your young quarterback, it's like, for example, Cam Newton, right? His rookie year, the OC basically taught him what he was going to be good at in the league, and they did that, and it worked. For Bryce, I think they put too much on his plate without knowing really what area of the game he's going to thrive in for a long time.
Well, how about this?
There were too many cooks in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
There was no real
Tony,
plan.
how about this?
It's like fusion food.
I have said this.
It's fusion food. Is that sometimes we don't need Japanese food fused with Italian food. Just let us have freaking sushi or some chicken cutlets.
Yeah.
Like one or the other. And then we were like this. It was making a plate of food, and all of the dishes could have been good individually, but collectively they didn't make a good meal. They had no plan.
You also got to be able to evolve your dish too. Like
Yeah.
if the sushi starts to get stale,
Yeah.
you got to make a new
Yeah,
type of
you got to
sushi.
make a different type of sushi roll.
Yeah, you don't have to
Yeah.
make like chicken and rice or just stick
Yeah.
with what you got, but you got
And,
to
and again, I know this
But
is
you
old
stay
stuff,
in your
like-
lane. You stay,
Yeah.
and you were making this point about Cam Newton is that you had this God.
But
I
Tony,
know.
Tony,
But like you do what you don't have to use your strengths.
use your strengths.
yeah, but Tony,
And we didn't
there's
know what they were
something
last
that you
year.
have to remember though. That offense last year, I don't care what anyone says, it was not built for Bryce Young in mind. And I know
It wasn't built with anybody
no,
in
but
mind.
I'm saying I know I'm beating a dead horse, but that offense was not built for Bryce Young. And I felt like that coaching staff had Bryce forced upon him.
Have you
I'm
ever
happy
been
now that Dave Canales is actually building an offense around Bryce Young's skill set?
Have you ever look? They say don't. Actually, this is an old Dave Gettleism, right? Remember, Dave Gettleman before he bought into his own hype was a genius, and he was so charismatic.
I loved him on
He
the
said don't.
microphone.
Yeah,
So
he said
good.
don't shop hungry. All right, so here's the thing: is that if you go to the grocery store and you're hungry, right? You're going to the grocery store, you have the plan on eating. Here's the problem: by the time you get done grocery shopping, you have to go. Yes, but you also have to get takeout because you spend an hour in the grocery store. But you buy haphazardly. You're like, oh, I want steak, I want peanut butter, I want you're shopping hungry. There's no continuity to the meal. And so last year, where I will push back and disagree with you is maybe that offense was not built for Bryce Young, but it wasn't built for anybody. It was built. You had a Japanese cook, you had an Italian cook, it was just a hodgepodge mismatch of anything. And also, they did the one thing, and this is why I will go back and credit Ron Rivera for. You got to give some people some kudos. Ron Rivera stayed true to who he was, and last year they panicked at every turn. Savala gets beat in the game. They switch him out. We want to stick to the run game. It didn't work. Then we passed it 72
What
times.
was that guy Throckmorton? And
He was the best dang guard, and they cut him.
And they cut him like out of
But
nowhere.
it was just panic mode. Everything was like, well, this didn't work. Well, let's try this. Let's try that. And I think at least the vibe, or at least if we trust Dave Canales at what he says,
absolutely.
is that he's stick to the plan. And he came up with a guy, Pete Carroll. By the way, Pete Carroll got run out of the league crying with the Jets back in the day. He comes back, call it, all I can hope is that we have had a used car salesman in Matt Rule. And then we had an old man who basically we had Joe Biden as our coach last year. Really? I don't know, y'all figure it out.
Yeah, and the way you're describing it, honestly, there seem to be more parallels between Matt Rule and Frank Reich than we thought, just based on what you said about how, oh, this isn't working, we're going to panic to this and that. And I think, that's why the league is going in the direction where these young coaches are taking over. Because, for example, Pete Carroll may not have a job right now because he doesn't, know how to evolve his type of schemes and game to the next level.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important.
All right, then overall, what I've heard from everyone here, I shouldn't say everyone. It's not like I went around to everyone asking this question. But ultimately, the vibes that I'm getting is that the confidence is starting to go back up from all of us, all of the fans. Yeah. And I got to be honest, in about 5 years, I feel like this is kind of the first time for me that, to say that that's, becoming.
Well,
a
I
thing.
think I think if you're able to get the head coach right, and we see that year one, I think then that's just going to instill like confidence going into the future. Because I think that's what we got to get right first before anything else happens.
I've been very interested in this question, Strats, like because I've been thinking about the same thing. Are we on a rebound date relationship? Are we in something that is real? You know, what I mean, like whatever. And I think what Panther fans have come like, and we've learned it through the school of hard knocks, right? Like we've learned it. We've had our heart broken in different ways. We've tried the steady good girl. We've tried the wild girl. We've tried the girl that looks good on the outside. Then, you know what I'm saying? I think right now and I really have been thinking about these questions, like expectations. Are we headed in the right direction? I think we're looking for someone who just is stable. You know, and so when I feel like this and the vibe I'm getting, and I don't know, is last year, though, you tune into this podcast and I was going nuts about, I was swept up in the euphoria of Bryce Young. I was swept up in the euphoria of Frank Reich and this master class of coaches.
Yeah.
If you want to make this to like, when you meet a person that you're interested in, right? Like when you hit it off with somebody, your brain produces whatever the chemical is. It's the same chemical that when you take heroin.
Dopamine.
Yeah. You, for about 6 weeks, you are physically in love.
You get addicted.
And that's why we give chocolate to people on Valentine's, because chocolate
reproduces the dopamine.
I mean, there's a reason. And so I think to answer or get at your question is that I'm not trying to get duped by the dopamines. And what I mean by that is like I'm looking for somebody
real
who is stable. Well, like
love.
I mean, but first of all, Dave Canales is beautiful.
Oh, dude,
right?
By the way,
but you don't want to fall for the same trap. I guess what I'm saying. You don't want to fall. And what I think is we've had our heart broken enough that we're guarded enough as fans to be optimistic that love is out there still.
Yeah, and you know,
but also not too quick to go goo goo gagas.
I tell you what, you talk about your crushes, Tony. I'm crushing on Dave Canales.
Oh my god,
I'm crushing on Dave. Dude,
not
not only is, bro, have you seen that man's shoulders? Yo, my man is in the gym, okay? My man doesn't miss leg day. My man's got the quads, the delts, but on top of that, I love his mentality. And I played it last night on the free-for-all when talking about the competition between Harrison Mevis and Eddie Pinheiro. And he is going to do like what Pete Carroll taught him. He is going to get all the information possible and let that play out. Let that competition play out. And that's what we need to be doing. And I love everything that he says. You know, I've never felt like I've had a young coach on my team that could be here for the long haul. It's always been these older guys that come from somewhere else. You know, I like the youthful energy right now that we have. And I think it's because of Dave Canales. It's because of his leadership.
You don't think he's a little corny?
And what you said earlier,
he's Ted Lasso. He's a good-looking Ted Lasso.
What you said earlier, though, was when you were telling them to finish, it seems like they listen to him when he says those things.
Well, I don't think we should call him corny yet, because if his corniness, like his philosophy works,
it's not corny.
Then
no,
he can
this
be
is
as corny as
fantastic. All right, this is a fantastic
That's your
point.
Ted Lasso point.
Yeah. No, that is the Ted Lasso. Yeah. No, it's, you know what, is Ted Lasso might be a little dorky or nerdy or whatever you want to say, but he's authentic. Yes. He's real. He is, and that's where I'm.
Yeah.
And I believe this when Dave Canales and they took over and then they showed us the book that he wrote.
Yeah.
It was so open.
He was so open.
Do you know how difficult it is to be that vulnerable?
Yeah.
To spill your, not only your flaws, but your strengths. So this is what I do. and I'm glad you made that point, Ant, is when I say corny, it's not corny because he's real.
Yeah.
He is he is,
It's
and the
authentic.
people
He's
they
not
respect
pretending to be someone
authenticity.
he isn't.
If you didn't know who he was and you just saw him, then perhaps you would think he's like corny. But as we like thrive off of, consuming all of these videos and things and media content. So, the Panther fans tend to have really good a better idea, probably more than national media does, because we're around. the
Yeah,
information more.
absolutely.
And when you really kind of see all that and collect all that information, he doesn't come off as corny. It comes off as authentic. And if you go back to Matt Rule, what was he doing all the time? Yes. And then when you go to Frank Reich, I think specifically Frank Reich in the beginning of, and I don't want to talk too much about Frank, but in the beginning of the season, do you remember in preseason, we're saving all this stuff, I promise, when we get to, and what did we see? It was the same thing consistently. It was consistent, but consistently normal and boring.
Yeah. Now quickly,
Frank, and I know, look, I hate all of the politics of the world.
Yeah,
so
I don't like
I'm not
politics.
trying to get any of y'all. I don't care. But the issue I've had with Joe, Sleepy Joe, is Frank Reich was Sleepy Joe. He was Sleepy Joe. And he was just hoping everybody. All right, so
let me read
what is
this.
this? What's going on?
So this is by Alex Zeitlow on Twitter. It says Dame Canales asked by Mike K about the wide receiver room, particularly the guys behind Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette, who've had a lot of fanfare. The first name he mentions, Mingo, Jonathan Mingo.
All right, let's really talk about this for 1 second.
Are we poised? So, okay.
No, I'm not in love.
Can Mingo actually turn it around this year? I'll say this.
Yes,
he was very impressive today. They targeted him a lot.
They did. Okay.
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't love his ball get off. Like, I feel like.
What do you mean by off the line?
Yeah, off the line. I feel like he's not very explosive. And I said this to CK the other day, that when he doesn't have the ball coming his way, he takes the play off. And that is so infuriating to me. But I do think that he's working through some of those kinks. I think that Canales and this offense has been good for him. I don't know what to think yet. I don't know if I believe in him yet. Yeah.
No, just to add on, I think that is something he's got to work on, because with Bryce Young as your quarterback, we saw last year a lot of the time he was outside the pocket trying to extend the play, and maybe Mingo not thinking he get the ball was another reason why he wasn't open on that play. So, but there was a clip that CK posted where Bryce rolled out and Mingo, found his soft spot and got open and ran for a ton of yards.
And there was also the big play, and this is not a knock. I'm not going to look at any play and go, oh, you guys, I don't know what's going on. But Bryce extended the play for a ton of time, threw it downfield, and Xavier Legette, didn't get the ball. I thought the play was over too. I thought it was over like 4 seconds earlier. Yeah. And actually, in fairness to Legette or any of these people, that play would have been dead in the real game, right away, because it's training camp. But Bryce did throw it down, and so it's like finish every play. The thing about Mingo, and look, I'm one of these people. Be cautious of just writing somebody off just because they didn't meet your expectations in year one. You see some other people, so I'm rooting for Mingo to have a good career. Yeah. I was rooting for Terrace Marshall Jr. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted by that.
I'm at the point. There's not one player on this team that I'm rooting against. Please, I dare anyone to be good.
One thing that CK said to me about Adam Thielen is that the way he catches the ball, it looks like the ball just naturally becomes a little baby. And I forgot how you exactly said it. Yeah, it's like it becomes like a little baby coming in your hands. It's so delicate and natural.
Yeah, it's so fucking baby.
But with Mingo, it feels like impact.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And so like soft hands. Well, I mean, and obviously, look, Adam Thielen's been a 16-year vet or whatever. but it looks so like you could throw an egg 40 yards and he would catch it without it
Yeah, he wouldn't crack at all.
And so that's where I want to, if I'm looking at Mingo, they are utilizing him a ton.
Yeah.
They're making him a part of it. He's running with first teams a lot more than I expected. And I'm actually interested in questioning. I'll ask you this, and we'll start with Ant, and then we'll go to Cody, and we'll not finish with strats, but the order. Why do you think that this coaching staff is that interested in Jonathan Mingo after a new staff, a new team, and a player who ultimately didn't, I don't know, like, how is it that why is Dave Canales coming up here and saying Mingo's name first?
Well, I do think I'm going to circle back to what Cody was talking about with these young players, right? Like, why not to give up on a player so early in their career? And it's because I think they do have a lot of potential. And I feel like I call in too much because I give too much thoughts, but I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say this. I want to see these young players show out this year. And I think you should have confidence in a guy that's only been in the league for one season and that was with Frank Reich, and he had no idea, no plan for him. So I think
you're not writing off Bryce Young.
No, you're not writing off Bryce Young. So why would you write off Mingo? And I think like someone that's been dealing with that mindset of, okay, maybe I didn't want to draft Jonathan Mingo, but that doesn't mean that he can't turn out to be a great football player. So I think like Dave Canales should have all the reason in the world to believe in a guy. You're not going to write someone off after 1 year. Now, maybe a guy like Terrace Marshall, who's been in the league for 4 seasons now, hasn't shown you that much. Yeah, that's a different story. But Mingo's got, he's got a lot of game to play still. Yeah. So there's no reason to write him off if you're a young coach.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, if we just drafted him last year, he wouldn't be the only person ever to have a bad rookie season in the NFL. Yeah, like you have him under contract. You saw the talent in him originally, and the same thing that's true for Bryce is the same thing that's true for him. It was a bad team around him, but now we have a guy that's willing to build into his skill set, and I think that's a great thing for him. I think Jonathan Mingo, again, it's prove it season, y'all. Everyone needs to prove it. We need to see it before we start heaping praise on anyone. But I think Jonathan Mingo has gotten the message that more is being demanded of him. And I like the progress so far. And I like the fact that they're making attempts to get the ball in his hand. Like he is the receiving option on the specific plays that they're calling for him.
I think a lot of it has to do, too, is that Bryce really looks to the slot receiver a ton, and they're running Mingo in the slot when we've seen that. And, that's why Adam Thielen. But I do want to give a shout-out real quick to my bastard son. We joked at this. Did you guys talk about it?
Yeah, but it's awesome.
Your dad commented right after.
No, that was his actual dad.
First, and this is for all of y'all that are listening that don't listen frequently, I have a bastard son.
Yeah, he has an illegitimate child born out of wedlock.
His name is Kevin
Bashovin.
And he is
all he ever wants is the love of his father.
He's one of my favorite people.
Never get it.
If you would have seen the hug that we gave each other when we met, it was. But he gave us a $5 C3 bomb. And I know you guys talked about it, but I just need to address it. I just need to laugh at it.
It's so good, dude. Read it.
Oh, no, I got to read it. Just real quick. Just let me read it and then put it on the charger. He said this. He said, money for CK to have a soda. He said, money for CK to have a soda. Ant for being 21 now. Cody for a better hat.
I was gonna ask,
but then he says this. It's some
a fan just gave it. Really? We were sitting there
trunk,
and a fan of our pod came up to us and was like, "Have this hat, man."
But he said, "And money for Tony for penicillin after this."
That's the best,
bro. Dude. He knows he is my son.
Yeah,
he is my son.
That is your child.
Yes.
That is your child.
That is my child.
There's no debating.
Oh my God, Kev, I love you more than anything. I wish I would have told you that when you were born.
I do want to bring this up because I was just scrolling on Twitter. And what do you guys think about Thomas Davis saying that the team should trade for Brandon?
Oh, I'm
'Cause
so glad you
he
brought that
said
up.
this?
Yeah, he was talking
yes.
to Dan Morgan. I just saw some clips, so I don't know, but like O-line, you can never have. He basically said you can never not have enough weapons.
But also, let's put this in context. The Houston Texans, who have C.J. Stroud, they went out and got Stephon Diggs, even though they know they already have a bunch of young, talented weapons on that team. Why are we not doing the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if we're talking about putting talent around your young core guys, this is how you do it, man. And I was telling Deez when we were sitting next to each other, next year could be another all-defensive draft. I mean, right now there aren't really a ton of positions of need on the offense right now. But if you added another dynamic, badass number one wide receiver that's surrounding your talent with more talent, I'm into it. And I don't think it would be a first-round pick. I mean, maybe he fetches a first. I don't know if you agree. But
I think he does. Potentially.
Maybe. Or if anything, maybe a second-round pick. I don't know. But I would love it. Like, I'm not opposed to it.
Well, because you got to pay him too, right? So
Right.
it's it may be that Brian Burns kind of situation where the team isn't willing to give up that much draft capital. But I'm with you, dude. Like, I mean, if you just looked a little towards the future, there are some badass cornerbacks, edge rushers coming out this next year.
Yeah.
And that's really what Dan Morgan may have his eyes on. Now, am I mad about that? No, because the foundation of our good teams have just been, badass defenses.
Yeah.
All right, Kev, my son said, after watching Legette, you need a cigarette. He gave us a $2 C3 bomb. You're damn right. I need a cigarette right now thinking about that. But I also want to shout out Charlotte Sports One. Incredible donation. Next round is on me. I'd get it for you if I was able to be there. Gave us a $20 C3 bomb. Yeah, we're good. You know what? I mean, I feel like it might be time to wrap this sucker up, to be honest.
I mean,
Yeah. CK, get up in here. I think it's time. I mean, have we missed? I mean, I feel like ad nauseum we've talked about.
We can ask the chat. I mean, if there's anything else.
Yeah, is there anything that we haven't addressed? What?
Oh, yeah, let's get Matt up here.
Oh, Ricky, how about this? Let's give these RARs out. Give one to Strats right now. We're giving one to, look, we need you here. Look, put the little QR code in front of it. Give this to James. This is for James. Yeah. This is for James. And then give the other, I think we should give it to Matt. Right?
Yes, sir.
Did I get right?
Matt, that's for you, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
man,
worry about it.
absolutely.
Thank you, brother. Hey,
man,
whatever. You ain't done nothing but bless me, man. Y'all bless me.
We love the fans.
You
We
don't
love
know
the fans, dude.
and to spare y'all from the details of my own fucked up life is hanging with my brothers.
It's been awesome.
And that's why I put rest in peace to Joey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When we took that picture today because and we saw it back together Saturday, right? And these homies,
we are literally back together.
We are
back
Look
together.
at how good this motherfucker looks in his crook. Look, you got to get the crook right. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get the crook right.
I'm not normally a hat guy, but when you got it, you got it. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You can't. If you bend my bill, we're going to fight.
Yeah, dog.
We're going to bend my bill, you're going to fight. Look, it's been a great week together. CK, come get on this stick and say goodnight. I think it is time to end it.
Yeah, man.
I mean, we've done it. We've had fun.
Hey, again, thank you to Resident Culture for hosting us here. Great venue, great food.
Look,
great
CK's our
beer.
producer of it. He don't want to get on the cool mic.
Oh, look, it's on the
I
camera.
know. I
there.
see. All right, CK. Again, I want to thank you for everything. You not only just being the best of friends, but just making all this possible. You really have been important. So, CK, your parting thoughts? He's not going to talk.
No, he's not.
You're not gonna talk? You're gonna say bye? All right, well, go here. Then don't part.
No, he's coming back. He's coming back.
Come on back.
Gotta get them final thoughts.
Oh, really? Somewhere out. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's all right. Look, back. Look. It feels like when Joe and I were doing this.
Yeah.
All right.
But hey, man, shout out Rest in Paradise to Joe Riolano. If it wasn't for him, we all would.
Yeah, we
would be here. Yeah.
So just thank you again, CK.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm happy to be here. You guys, please keep your eyes peeled. Monday, I'll have some special stuff. I've been putting some footage out. If you guys are actually, let's do something. I'll show you guys a little bit, give you a sneak peek of what I have coming Monday.
Yeah,
so roll that beautiful bean.
Yeah. Look, thank you so much. We've been hanging out. And I think we were talking about the authenticity of Dave Canales. And I think if anybody really has gotten to know us as friends and podcasters or whatever it is, that we have not made this. Why are you, CK, on the full screen?
Because he's on the camera.
Well,
he's typing some shit.
Look, this is about me, so. All right, but I think that people recognize real.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is we have not done this for us.
No.
We've done this because we just want to be friends.
Yeah, but
that's what I think about it is like, yes, you do it for the fans, you do it for this. It's like the biggest deal. I got to meet James today.
Oh, yeah.
I got to meet James today.
The
this
next
little beautiful
of Panther
boy.
fans.
But you know what? Is like while we were interested in watching training camp, this didn't get me through my stupid life. It got me through the pandemic. And I think people respect that. Is like, look, we're not football experts. We are
expert football fans.
And look at what my man CK did on.
Now tell me if this doesn't look expert. Expert, man.
Expert football
Bro,
fan.
listen, hey,
take that. Let's give them their knockback. What they say?
My drone pilot is better than yours.
What do I say? Bet.
Yeah,
bet.
I got money on my dog any day, bro.
Bet.
But hey, also, man, watch out for the kick-ass new intro we're gonna put together, man. Shout out to Greg, the Bat Daddy, man. He's with us in spirit here today. Man, this has been such a fun week, Tony.
Pickle.
I love y'all boys, man.
Pickle, Diesel Skills, D Money, man, Strats, and look,
the homeboys.
Look at this.
The homeboys.
It's just important. That's
the homies, yo.
Look, and how about
lifelong friendship?
What's the first thing when you guys got here? What'd I do? I said, come get on these sticks, brother.
Yeah.
Come get on these sticks.
For the fans, by the fans.
Well, because look, this ain't about me. It's about us. And look, now we're going to need it to be about us. CK, when you're ready,
and hey,
we're going to
let me just say, we're going to need y'all.
He's getting his own Chuba.
Let me just say, though, we're going to need
look at how
fans.
good that is. I need HD eyeballs to watch this.
Let me say this, though. We're going to need y'all fans more than ever before in 2024, man. We're getting ready to embark on a fun season. A lot on the line for the Carolina Panthers. A lot on the line for C3. We need y'all, man. Need y'all.
Look,
love you, Tony.
We're
love
a fam. We're family. We're family. CK, are you ready? Or you still want to tube to your own video? You want to finish it?
I mean, it's almost done, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what she said?
Oh, that's what she said.
Is that what you told? I'm almost there. I'm almost.
But you know, you know what else I will say, man? I love that stadium. Being inside of it, man. I know they say it's old.
I know. I'm tired of that bullshit. I'm tired.
I have
so
many good memories in that stadium, dude. I love it.
And it's beautiful on its own.
It really is. And it's a part of the city of Charlotte, too.
All right. You're listening to C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Look, Tuesday night, live, 9 p.m. We here every week. When I say longest running, find a mug. Find a mug, even run by the damn team that's done it longer and more consistently than us. You can't.
Find them.
Can't.
You just won't find them.
Yeah.
We're it.
Say less.
We're it.
Right? Isn't that what they say?
Less.
Say less.
Say less,
Say less.
Tony Dunn. Say
All right.
less.
So what we're gonna do is this: is we're gonna get out of here, and you know who always takes me out of here is my man, my wheel man, Cody Lack. Take us out of here.
C3 Nation. Until next time, keep pounding.